For the first time, we're going to go through the ballparks of a specific conference, the SEC. Let's check them out. Sewell Thomas Stadium, Alabama Crimson Tide. Although this venue dates back to the late 40s, it was almost entirely rebuilt in 2015. It's almost unrecognizable when you compare it with the pre-renovation ballpark. Still, they have kept to the classic college ballpark aesthetic with this brick and iron exterior. There is a healthy portion of modern features though. For one, this impressive video board in left field, the split level seating layout, and I don't know if you'd necessarily call this a modern feature, but the multi-tiered lawn seating is pretty cool. Bourne Walker Stadium, Arkansas Razorbacks. Fittingly, the Razorbacks have themselves a razor sharp looking ballpark. Well, I don't even know if that's the correct adjective to use, but you know what I mean. The design is clean and simple. The seating is evenly distributed and extends all the way along the foul lines, which gives it a distinctive look. What is razor sharp is the image displayed on this, which is the largest of any college baseball video board. The brick pillars on either side are a nice touch. Plainsman Park, Auburn Tigers. If you look around Plainsman Park, you may notice some features inspired by several of baseball's most famous venues. The most obvious being the green monster in left field, which is inspired by Fenway Park of course. I believe they eventually plan on building a terrace up there, so much like at Fenway Park, fans will eventually be able to watch the game from atop the green monster. For now, if you do try to watch the game from up there, you will most likely be shot down with a t-shirt cannon, so just be ready for that. But yeah, a beautiful ballpark. Condren Ballpark is the brand new home of the Florida Gators. These guys certainly haven't stuck to a traditional aesthetic. There is blue and bright orange everywhere, a 360-degree concourse, angular grass berms rather than curved, steel painted white rather than black, but one thing they have rightfully stuck with is natural grass. There's also a decent amount of shaded seating, which I'm sure is a welcome feature on a hot and steamy Florida day. Foley Field, Georgia Bulldogs. This place underwent a renovation a while ago that is perhaps most noticeable from the outside. As you can see, they went from having one of the most boring exteriors going round to one of the flashiest. It might not be for everyone, but it is undoubtedly more interesting. Although the capacity is small, the seating is compact and concentrated around home plate. So I'd imagine the atmosphere can still be pretty intense. Well, not compared to the football stadium on the other side of the campus, but by college baseball standards perhaps. Kentucky Proud Park, Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky Proud is a good name for this ballpark, and I'll tell you why.
I'm proud to be a Kentuckian, where at least I know I'm free to get drunk on Maker's Mark and get fat from KFC.
This is just a couple of years older than the Gators' new home. Surprisingly, the state with a type of grass named after them, Kentucky Bluegrass, has opted for artificial turf. But not artificial dirt, because dirt is cheap. There's even a saying about it. Cheap as chips. You know, because chips are dirt cheap. Anyway, this is a no-nonsense modern ballpark, with all the amenities you would expect. Those eye-catching blue outfield walls are a little different though. Alec Box Stadium, LSU Tigers, a team that consistently draws the largest total attendance in college baseball, year in, year out, despite not even having the largest capacity in the conference. It does comfortably have the largest roof of any ballpark in the conference though. In fact, there is quite a stark contrast here. On a hot sunny day, you're either sitting in the sun in the outfield on metal benches, or behind home plate, undercover, and in comfortable ergonomic seats. Oh, I should also mention the somewhat Spanish-inspired exterior, which looks rather nice. Swayze Field, Ole Miss Rebels. It probably goes without saying that this ballpark is not named after Patrick Swayze, but Tom Swayze, a former Ole Miss player and coach. It's actually an off-campus venue by less than a quarter mile, but like a lot of the buildings that are on the Ole Miss campus, they've combined a red brick facade with a red roof, which makes for a distinctive look. Another distinctive aspect is the way the seating behind home plate is split into 3 pseudo-tiers. And yet another distinctive aspect is that double rainbow, which I assume is a permanent fixture. Dudy Noble Field, Mississippi State Bulldogs. This venue's coming off a major redevelopment a few years ago that not only transformed it into a proper double-decker grandstand, but also added a ton of amenities. It's currently the largest on-campus ballpark and holds the record for the largest on-campus college baseball crowd, 16,423 back in April. The most unusual aspect to this stadium, and the feature that it is perhaps most known for, is the left field lounge, which used to look a little ramshackle, but after the renovation is now looking rather premium. Taylor Stadium, Missouri Tigers. This ballpark is relatively simple compared to most that we've seen so far. It keeps with a fairly traditional look, plenty of steel and brick on the outside and within. One rather odd feature is that the infield is artificial and the outfield is natural grass. So at certain times of the year there can be a noticeable disparity of the colour of the two. I can only assume that the outfield will eventually be turfed, because, well, that's just a bit weird. Other than that though, it's a solid venue I suppose. Founders Park, South Carolina Gamecocks. Founders Park might sound like the name of a pilgrim-themed amusement park, but it's actually one of the most highly regarded ballparks in college baseball. Not only that, but in a conference where we've seen a lot of red brick throughout, I think this one might be the brickiest of the lot. More bricks than you can throw a brick at. I'm not complaining, it looks great. And to top it all off, fans are treated with a bit of a skyline backdrop. Not that this city has much of a skyline to speak of. Lindsey Nelson Stadium, Tennessee Volunteers. Similar to Foley Field, this has a fairly basic, bare concrete exterior. That'll be upgraded in an upcoming renovation. My favourite aspect to this ballpark isn't really within the ballpark itself. It's that, despite being in a fairly built-up area, you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell. Beyond the outfield wall is nothing but trees, more or less. Olson Field at Blue Bell Park, Texas A&M Aggies. We've seen a lot of ballparks that are named after legendary former players and coaches, and that's all good and all, but Blue Bell is an ice cream company, and ice cream tastes good. Similar to Sewell Thomas Stadium, this was a pre-existing ballpark that was rebuilt in the previous decade. It now has what is probably the most grand of the many grand brick exteriors we've seen, which matches the Aggies football stadium perfectly. Hawkins Field, Vanderbilt Commodores. They've kept it pretty simple regarding the seating, which is unsurprising given that the stadium has one of the smallest capacities. It does have some interesting quirks, but they lie elsewhere. Probably the most notable one is how the basketball arena basically encroaches onto the field, which has led to this strange, giant, inward curved outfield wall in left field. It is set to undergo a major renovation in the near future, but even in its current state, I kinda like it. So there you have it, time to pick a favourite. It's a toss of a coin, there are several that I could choose. Let's go with Dudy Noble Field. It just has a bit of everything. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching, have a good one.